Welcome to KREH National News. I'm Kathy Yang.
And I'm Rochelle Hansen, coming to you from our Walnut Creek studio.
Over the past 2 years, we've been watching the Moral Majority Party formed by Reverend Jerry Falwell. Falwell has been successful in sparking a conservative movement that's taking America by a storm. Falwell is known for his preachings against sexual permissiveness, abortion, feminism, and the spread of gay rights. The party has gained the support of 2 to 3 million American voters through its direct mail marketing and television broadcasts.
In other news, Sandra Day O'Connor was appointed as a Supreme Court Justice by President Ronald Reagan. This makes her the first woman in the court's almost 200-year history. Though this seems to be a step in a more liberal direction for America, O'Connor is one of 3 very conservatively minded judges appointed by President Reagan. We have reporter Emily Carroll standing by the National Courthouse in Washington, D.C. to bring us up to date on the court cases being passed by this new, more conservative Supreme Court.
Thank you, Rochelle. This is Emily Carroll. I'm standing in front of the courthouse doors where moments ago a case closed between Webster and Reproductive Services. The court has just approved a Missouri law opposing restrictions on abortion. Unfortunately, pro-choice abortion rights that were approved in the court's decision of Roe v. Wade in 1973 have been further limited, though not entirely overturned, by allowing states to legislate regarding abortion rights. Only time will tell how pro-choice leaders will react to this ruling. This movement in conservatism has proved detrimental to pro-choice supporters. On the other hand, those who support pro-life are happy with this trend towards conservatism that can be seen taking place in America. And now to my co-reporter, Heather Larson, to bring us the opinion of an average American.
Thank you for the intro, Emily. So, ma'am, how do you feel about the court decision from the Webster v. Reproductive Services?
As a mother, I'm very supportive of it, of what the court has decided, and I'm hoping that they continue to go in more in that direction.
Thank you for your insight. And now back to you, Kathy and Rochelle.
Good. Thanks, Heather. As we've been able to see, conservatism is becoming a widespread and common mindset throughout the nation.
And now, a word from our sponsor. And we're back. You're watching KREH National News. I'm Kathy Yang.
And I'm Rochelle Hansen.
We have Heather standing by to bring us news from our nation's capital as the 41st President of the United States, George H.W. Bush, gives his inaugural address.
Of Republican political excitement as newly elected President George H.W. Bush is about to give his inaugural address to the American public. President Bush was previously a Republican senator from the state of Illinois. He served in World War II, later becoming a wealthy oil tycoon in Texas. As President Bush has been quoted saying, he aims to work towards a kinder, gentler America. Only the coming years will prove President Bush's ability to achieve this.
Then he must. America is never wholly herself unless she is engaged in high moral principle. We as a people have such a purpose today. It is to make kinder the face of the nation and gentler the face of the world. My friends, we have work to do. There.
It looks like he won by a solid margin. This highlights the conservative movement in America. His campaign was marked by his 1,000 Points of Light speech, which endorses the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer in schools, gun rights, capital punishment, and also by his famous pledge, read my lips, no new taxes.
President Bush has only been in office for a short time, although we're now seeing drastic international political change. We have Emily Carroll standing by near Tiananmen Square in Beijing, where pro-democracy protests are taking place.
I'm here in Beijing, where hundreds of thousands of pro-democracy peaceful demonstrators have gathered in an attempt to bring change to the Chinese government. As a symbol of their wish for democracy, they proudly flourish a statue modeled after our very own Statue of Liberty. They are calling this their goddess of democracy. So far, the protests have been peaceful, although the government has yet to respond.
In the city of Beijing, in the spring of 1989, you could hear the people sing, and it was the song of freedom that was ringing in the square. The world could feel the passion of the people gathered there. Oh, children, blood is on the square.
I'm standing in a safe zone in Beijing as the Chinese government is responding to the pro-democratic demonstrations that have been occurring for the past few months in China. We're watching in horror as these peaceful protesters are being brutally slaughtered through the use of tanks and machine guns. An unknown civilian was earlier seen standing in front of a tank in a desperate attempt to stop it from further massacring innocent people. This tank man has not yet been identified, but is applauded for his bravery. Here's a clip of what my cameramen were successful in capturing.
We have just received word that President Bush refuses to take action in Beijing through the restriction of trade despite the demands of Congress and human rights violations acknowledged by the UN.
These protests in Tiananmen Square are marking an international shift towards democracy. Across Eastern Europe, including Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, and Romania, protesters have gathered in attempts to bring democracy to their governments.
Now we have some breaking news. The Berlin Wall will be taken down in October of 1990, signifying an end to the animosities between the USSR and the US, and ushering a new era of relations.
Today, Saddam Hussein, ruler of Iraq, sent his army into Kuwait in an attempt to overrun the oil-rich country. His aggressions have been mostly fueled by his need for oil to pay for war bills after his 8-year war with Iran.
The U.S. has supplied Hussein with weapons during his war with Iran by use of the logic that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. These weapons are now being used to kill innocent civilians in Kuwait. The UN Security Council has unanimously denounced Hussein's invasion and is demanding that he remove troops immediately.
News. Today, President Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, to stop discrimination against 43 million Americans with physical or mental disabilities. This act includes measures to improve wheelchair accessibility in public areas and other amenities for disabled persons' benefit.
Also, Bush signed the Immigration Act of 1990, which increased legal immigration by 40%. And now, a word from our sponsor.
As the crisis in the Persian Gulf heats up, we have our reporters Heather and Emily standing by in the Middle East to report on what's been happening.
Thank you, Rochelle. All diplomatic efforts made by President Bush to solve the Persian Gulf crisis have failed, so Congress has approved the use of force and U.S. involvement in a large international military deployment. It is expected that over 500,000 U.S. troops and 270,000 troops from the other 28 countries involved in the military coalition alliance will be deployed. The UN has started using air attacks against Iraq throughout the past 37 days in response to threats made by Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein has threatened the use of chemical, biological, and ecological warfare. In response, American General Norman Schwarzkopf has come up with a strategy of relentless bombing of Iraq, followed by a tidal wave of troops on land.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Rolling in my 5.0. Oh yeah, here we go.
observing the bombing and air attacks that have occurred, but as of today, Operation Desert Storm is in effect.
This Operation Desert Storm is hoped to be quick to end the state's terror on Kuwait.
As of today, February 27th, Saddam Hussein, ruler of Iraq, has accepted a ceasefire agreement freeing Kuwait from his wrath. Though Americans are pleased with the success of the Desert Storm operation and with the rapid 4-day conclusion to the war, they are upset that America and their allies were unable to drive Saddam from power in Iraq.
In other news, President Bush signed a major water projects bill to change the distribution of subsidized federal water resources in the western U.S.
From KREH National News, thank you for joining us. Good night.